In a world that's all about sustainability, how does a business actually prove it's doing its part? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on ISO 14001. Think of it as the global playbook for companies to get a real systematic grip on their environmental footprint. So, let's jump right in. So, I want to start with a pretty direct question for you. In today's world, understanding your environmental impact, it's not just about, being green anymore. It's really about managing some serious business risks that can hit everything from your bottom line to your reputation. I mean, just think about the risks for a second. If you don't have a clear system, you're always just reacting, right? New laws pop up out of nowhere, you've got demanding customers watching your every move, and sudden climate events can throw your entire supply chain into complete chaos. ISO 14001 is basically the shield that helps you get ahead of these threats. Okay, so what is this standard really? Let's break down the core idea. Here's the official definition. ISO 14001 gives you the framework for what's called an environmental management system, or an EMS. And the most important word on this slide is systematically. This isn't about one-off eco-friendly projects. It's about weaving environmental management right into the fabric of how you operate day in and day out. And this right here is a huge myth buster. A lot of people think you have to be perfectly green to even think about this stuff. Nope. The goal isn't perfection. The standard just asks that you can prove you have control over your environmental effects, that you're following the rules, and, this is key, that you're always working to get better. So how does this all work in the real world? Well, the entire standard is built around this beautifully simple but incredibly powerful 4-step loop. Let's take a look. This is the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. You'll hear it called PDCA, and it's basically the engine of ISO 14001. It's a non-stop loop. You plan what you're going to do, you do it, you check your results to see how you did, and then you act to make things even better. It's this cycle that makes sure environmental management is a core business process, not just a side project. All right, so let's dive into that first half of the cycle, planning and doing. This is where you really build the foundation and start putting your strategy into motion. So the plan and do phases really break down into these 4 logical steps. First, you figure out your context. What laws apply to you? What do your customers expect? Then you create your official environmental policy. From there, you plan out specific actions. And finally, you build all of that right into your daily work. Now, a really critical part of the planning is getting this next distinction right. Just think of it like this. The aspect is the thing you do, like using energy. The impact is the result of that action, like your CO2 emissions. ISO 14001 forces you to identify which of your actions have the biggest consequences. And this is what that do phase, what we call operational control, actually looks like. It's not abstract theory. It's stuff like having clear instructions for how to separate waste, solid maintenance plans to stop leaks before they happen, setting environmental standards for your suppliers, and of course, being ready for emergencies. Okay, so you've made your plan and you're doing the work. But how do you know if it's actually working? Well, that brings us to the second half of the cycle, checking your performance and acting on what you find. The check phase is all about the data. You really can't manage what you don't measure, right? So you might start tracking your monthly energy use, and you get a number back, maybe something like 15,000 kilowatt hours. Or maybe you're tracking the amount of waste that's created for each product you make, say 250 kilograms. When you have concrete numbers like these, you can start to see trends, you can properly evaluate how you're doing, and you know for sure if you're hitting your targets. But what happens when the numbers show that something isn't going according to plan? In the world of ISO 14001, we call that a non-conformity, and how you deal with it is a massive part of the whole improvement process. And this right here is the act phase in action. When something goes wrong, the standard demands a systematic response. You don't just put a Band-Aid on it. First, you fix the immediate problem. Then you dig deep to find out why it happened, the root cause. You take real action to make sure it can't happen again, and then you follow up to verify that your fix actually worked. This is the engine that drives continuous improvement. So after all this planning, doing, checking, and acting, what's the real payoff? What's in it for you? Let's talk about the actual value this whole system brings to an organization. And believe me, the benefits go way beyond just getting a certificate to hang on the wall. This system gives you a solid foundation for much smarter risk management, It creates real cost savings by making you more efficient, and it can even open up doors for new innovations. Plus, it strengthens your reputation and guarantees you're always on top of your legal duties. And for any organization that wants that external stamp of approval, there's an optional certification process. It usually starts with a big initial audit to get you certified. Then you'll have annual check-ins for a couple of years and a full-blown recertification audit every 3 years to make sure the system is still working and improving. And that really brings us right back to where we started. If you only remember one thing from all this, let it be this. ISO 14001 isn't about creating more paperwork. It's a strategic framework that gives you control over your environmental impact, helps you meet your obligations, and drives real continuous improvement. It's a powerful tool for any business that wants to succeed in the economy of today and tomorrow.